Alright, we're back with an update on the no Pulls F2P account. As you can see here, total levels 100 in Project Babel. You might have seen that in the title of the video as well. But anyway, we're gonna be re-equipping because we're just done with recording, and as you can see, I got Kamui Tenebrin from the S selector. Not gonna lie, I might have been happier with Liv Luminance, just because I kind of like Liv's playstyle a lot, but I mean, Tenebrin's really good as well. And yeah, so I've been farming a lot on the A rank constructs. I've gotten Bianca 0 pretty close to triple S. I know some people think it's not worth farming beyond double S, but bear in mind there are no other ways for me to get shards other than farming. So Blast is at double S, I'm keeping her there. Lotus I'm trying to get to triple S, but in the meantime she's kind of like halfway to double S. Eclipse is one of them that I want at triple S, but due to the serum constraint, you can only, I think for me, management wise, I can only do 2 constructs at a time until they reach milestones. So one of them is currently 0, the other is going to be Astral, who I'm going to plan to get to max out triple S plus as well. But that won't be done in one go. So I'm going to get them to milestones, like I think Astral would stop at triple S. So once Bianca 0 hits triple S, I'm going to stop her farming, switch to another construct that I think needs more farming. That might be Lux, or it might be Bastion. It depends. So for Nanami Storm, you do get that weekly shard. I know it's 1 shard a week, it's not a lot, but at least there's still movement. And I'm going to show you guys my banners and top-ups as we go along. But yeah, back to the farming, right? So the only way you can actually get a boost is that 1 shard you get from the shop. If it happens to be that 1 construct that you're focusing on, then that's really good luck. But otherwise, you just keep to the schedule and you know when you're hitting all your milestones. So that's actually pretty good. Also, if it's a non-event, you might be able, or I might be able to switch up to like 3 or 4 constructs farming at one time, but usually the event takes up a lot of the serum, and I think 2 is a healthy number to stick by. So as you can see, 0 recharge and no pulls except for that 1 B Nanami that they make you do. So I hope that shows you guys the rundown on the account, and let's go into Babel. Alright, so we're back on Babel. I usually call it Babel, but that's just how I first heard it. Anyway, those are the challenge debuffs, 24 points, and we're bringing Bianca 0, 4 Penton, 2 Condolina, 5-star bow, the only 5-star weapon I have in the account, so I use her to get the most points actually. So I realized for this stage, closed loop, it's kind of a, you know, if you're on low resource, closed loop is actually a huge challenge because it's actually very hard to fight closely against these mechanical bulls. They have huge AoE, and sometimes their animation, their attack animation, doesn't really cover their range. So you might get hit out of nowhere. And I decided to take out closed loop. I do have level 2 on overload, and some of the less hard to deal with debuffs. So it totals up to 24 points, pretty much almost a quarter of what you need to get to 100 levels. And of course, Bianca 0 being my strongest construct with my only 5-star weapon, it's a no-brainer to put her on this stage. So you can actually use their collision to your advantage, like that charging attack. You can use one of the bullets to block the other, and the main way to play it is to try to disable 1 or take out 1 enemy as quickly as you can. So you deal with less targets, and when it's down to a 1v1 situation like that, you basically have the high ground, as Obi-Wan would say, and, easily take it down. So the challenges here, the only challenge here is this phase, the second phase. The first and third phase, you can basically take no damage from them, they're super easy, but the second phase, it's really hard to keep up with 3 ranged units that just rapidly attack. The problem with them is their attacks are extremely rapid, so you want to cycle with evasion and your ultimate to kind of cover you, especially using your ultimate to cover you with an iframe when you are trying to recharge your evasion. You'll naturally take a good number of hits. If you don't take hits and you're using Bianca solo, good on you, that's like, you're really good. But basically, I let myself, take hits when I run out of evasion stamina, and yeah, like I said, use my ultimate to try to cover when I don't have stamina. And as you can see, we're down to the last enemy, so handling it is going to be pretty easy. One tactic I realized that you can use is to just run around in circles, and while you're trying to recharge your stamina. It works even if there's 3 of them, but sometimes you might get caught out in a laser and it could take you out instantly. So be careful when using a tactic, but it is a tactic that can get you not even taking any damage on that phase. For me, I just tried to rush through it, and as you'll see here, the third phase is actually extremely easy. Barely any kind of challenge. It's just this one guy running around. I know they have the mini spider mines, but when you're playing with a ranged character, it's super easy to take them out and just keep a distance. So most of what they're doing will not affect you, and you can pretty much clear the stage without taking any kind of damage at all. So I thought that I cleared him with that HP bar, but it wasn't. Still only took like 2 more hits anyway, and there we have it. Almost a quarter of the way to 100 levels on Babel, but what we're doing here is to cover for the other stages that we might be weaker against. So you use one stage to get as many points as you can, and then you can have an easier time on others. Moving on to BP2, over here, no attackers allowed, level 2 overload, and I didn't really take all the damage over time things. I know the stage itself has like radiation and stuff, so I decided not to buff those because they're a little intense. Mainly you just take those like Berserk and Penetration because just try not to get hit, basically. But back to the equipment. So I have a 5-star weapon on Eclipse because they give it to us as the daily login thing when you first start the game. I think it's a 7-day or 14-day login or something. And then she is running the same set that we had on Bianca 0, 4 Patent and 2 Condolina, because her basic attacks do have a bit of an AoE and they are actually pretty strong. So for Bastion, we have him at level 60. Unfortunately, he's only at A rank. I have not farmed him beyond the 30 shards that we got from the Frozen Darkness event. He does have a bit of skill points on him because they did give us some kind of rebate during the Frozen Darkness, so he's not fully trained up, but he is using a 4-star weapon, 4 Patent, and 2 Darwin. Just note that a lot of them are not going to have their best in slot, but Patent is basically my stat stick right now because of the lack of resources. It kind of works okay with Bastion because, you know, physical attack and stuff. You could have gone for Darwin because I do have 4 Darwin, but I just wanted more stats. The Patent parts are actually more upgraded than most of the other memories that I have. So Bastion is here to give me a bit of breathing room. He is on the yellow slot for QTE because when you pull enemies together, him slashing down into the battlefield actually kind of optimizes his damage a little bit. I know it's very little, but as a tank, he kind of takes down the yellow bar, which is the shield bar, so it works in your favor. Another reason why he's not in something like the blue or red slot. So red slot is because Eclipse's core passive allows you to turn the red slot into that super laser beam that you see if you use it after a 3 ping. So chances are you're not going to use a 3 ping red slot, you're just going to use one single orb as and when you have done a 3 ping already. So that would mean you almost never use it to get a QTE out. And why he's not on the blue despite you getting 3 signal orbs, so note that I have Eclipse at S. So every time I do her ultimate, I do get 3 blue orbs spawning. And why he's not there is because, first of all, her yellow orb, especially at 3 ping, pulls enemies in together. So you want to kind of optimize however little damage his QTE does. You still want to optimize it on like a huge area of enemies that are pulled in together. But the other reason is that when he's on the field, even though it's only due to a QTE, you can actually heal him back up. So you can use one heal to heal your entire party, in this case entire party because you only have 2 members in the party. And so taking hits is less consequential, be it on Bastion or Eclipse. And Bastion, basically what he's here to do is to be a super live simp. He is just to give her breathing room, especially when it gets intense. You want him to be able to tank it out, and as you can see, his yellow orb actually allows him to iframe his way to victory. But in any case, what you want to do is to use him to get out of sticky situations, and then try to get into a matrix before switching Eclipse in, so you have a bit of breathing room to get her into position. And also one thing to note, this goes for every construct. Every time you switch in, they basically do a 3 ping. So if their core passive requires you to do a 3 ping and then hit a specific orb, like in her case the red orb, remember that the moment you switch in, just hit a red orb, you will have the core passive active. And yeah, so that kind of finishes off the round. Luckily, Bastion didn't die. On the first round I did. He did sacrifice his life for the round, but this time I played it a little better. And that is BP2 the way I'm doing it. 16 points with Eclipse as the main DPS, and we're moving on to BP3. And we're on to BP3. So this is one of them that I did not bring Overload. Initially, I also, like all the others, had Overload level 2, but because this was the second last stage that I cleared, I had 3 and 4 left. I realized I didn't need that many points, so I cut it down from 25 to 21 points. As always, the 4 Patent 2 Condolina makes its return with the 4-star weapon on Lotus and the 5-star weapon on Nanami, because we get it from the Novice missions, and 4 Patent 2 Darwin on Nanami. Nanami only has her QTE and blue skill orbs upgraded, but she's really strong actually in this stage. We bring at least 1 tank construct to break down the barriers, the super armor, I think is what they call. And as you can see, we started with me running into getting the aggro from the Polar Soldier alone because it actually has longer range than the other 2 shielded warriors. But because of time constraint, you don't want to deal with them separately. You can actually just aggro the Polar Soldier, and the other 2, if you run the right distance, the other 2 soldiers can just not move, and you can keep luring the newly spawned enemy to the corner and just deal with them 1v1. But I think the burn will take your HP down the longer you stay on the stage, so it's actually, due to time constraint, you don't want to do that. You want to have them like slightly behind so you can deal with the super armor, and then start dealing with all of them together. So I initially did this with Overload level 2 and almost cleared it, but I did it with Blast. And I cleared it once with Blast, and I realized I needed Blast on BP4, so that's why I switched back to Lotus. I think I might have mentioned this, but it's a lot easier without the 2 levels of Overload. And I only needed 21 points. I actually needed 19 points on both BP 3 and 4 because I got 62 points before. So I decided to split 21 points here and 17 on 4 to make my life easier. As you can see, Lotus is actually doing really well. Nanami is actually keeping up with the pace, and she is surprisingly super strong. Maybe because they're tank enemies and like she's built to fight tanks, but doing a lot better than I expected her to do. And yeah, so we're basically running the thing of like having the attacker also doing QTE to deal damage, but in this case, they're actually pretty much both attackers. Nanami can actually take down physical resistance of enemies and I think defense as well, so that's why she is integral to this match. And we're almost done with everything. We only have the last Polar Soldier left, so try not to get hit by the dash attack, do not get caught and slammed into a wall. If you do get caught, however, if you do have a teammate, you're not running it solo, you can actually switch out. So you only take the initial hit, but you don't get smashed against the wall, unless you're way too close to the wall. One thing I keep forgetting is that when they stand up, they actually do a shockwave, so I keep getting hit by that. Thankfully, that does not deal a lot of damage. It is, however, very annoying. So try to iframe or evade when you're dealing with those. And as you can see, I didn't get hit that much, but the HP was still critically low at the end of the stage, due to the burning of the stage, so just take note of that. And with that, 21 points from this stage, we move on to BP4. Alright, BP4, the other of the 2 stages that I did not bring Overload level 2, here are the debuffs. I bring Blast for this one, 4-star weapon, 4-piece patent, 2-piece Coddy. Use the chips that I got from the rewards here to exchange for the Coddys. And we bring Lux, 5-star weapon, 4-piece Irwin, 2-piece Alice. So I really appreciate the additional support skill on this stage. 1 signal orb every 3 seconds is a lifesaver. So why I'm bringing Coddy also on Blast is because her ulti also gives her full stacks on her core passive, which is, if you think about it, kind of hard to activate. You need 3 full 3 pings. I know you can kind of use like switch in to get 1 charge. You can use your matrix to get a free 3 ping, and then you can use an actual 3 ping, so you can kind of save on your signal orbs, but basically, that's extra value when you get easier access to her ulti. Coddy actually gets her to her ulti a lot faster, also because of the lower usage of energy, she can kind of repeat use more often. As for Lux though, level 1 skills, nothing is leveled up on her, she's level 50, A rank, so we're just relying on whatever equipment we might have. One thing to note, you need to bring Flash on this one. I wouldn't say need to, but I felt that it was really important for me because those 2 staff wielders, you kind of want them to teleport in so you can take care of them close range, especially because if they are left to their own devices, they'll keep using a lot of annoying skills and they'll spawn their Hellspawn babies, which are going to be super annoying in the long run. So you kind of want to run all the way in, get them to teleport right next to you like that, and for Lux, I just use her yellow orbs to kind of hold enemies in place. Her healing is not really why I bring her here. Just hold enemies in place, try to get into a matrix, and get Blast to switch out. But Lux can kind of deal a bit of damage, so yeah, she kind of is a lifesaver when you actually need her to do that. The burn on this stage is extreme, and dealing with Roseblade is yet another level of crazy because, you know, when you get him down to that 10 HP bar thing, he kind of recharges his HP bar. I don't know if you can one-shot him. If you can, just let me know in the comments, but as you can see, 3 HP bars goes back up to 10. Super annoying, and yeah, I do lose Blast over here, but Lux actually comes in clutch and unexpectedly cleans it up. I don't know what I was expecting out of it, but she had like full HP bar. As you can see, the burn, she's not even getting hit. Her HP is dropping like crazy, but she does a good job cleaning up, and we get the 17 points from this stage. This was the last stage that I needed for 100, but we haven't gone through stage 5, I mean BP 5 on the video, so we're gonna cover that. And yeah, very nice cleanup from Lux. And finally, cleaning it up with 22 points on BP 5, we do have Overload level 2, we do have Close Loop, we do have Stealth, and the anti-support healing. Lowest healing by 50%. We don't have healers. Joke's on you. 3 points. Anyway, we do have the newly acquired Astral. I have him at S rank. Thankfully, we get a free one here. Fallen Star, very generous. And we do have Tenebrin, both dark units. So we do have a 2-piece Gloria, 4-star weapon, 2-piece Darwin, and 2-piece Patton because of stat sticks on Tenebrin. So 2-piece Gloria is gonna help because he's dark, so he can lure the dark resistance on enemies when he's called out for a QTE. And even when he is on the field, he'll be luring their defenses, I mean their resistance to that element. And if he calls out Astral for a QTE, you still get that bit of extra damage that you would get out of it. On Astral, we have a 4-star weapon, 2-piece Darwin, and 4-piece Bathlon. Thanks to the Fallen Star event, we are able to gather a full set. And as is the case with all my other memories, it is unfortunately not fully upgraded, but it's upgraded to a point where it's useful. So over here, we do have Closed Loop because, you know, we're using melee anyway. And I just rely on Tenebrin to give me some breathing room, just like what Bastion did on BP2. That's basically how I use the tanks right now. They can actually be DPSs themselves, but I just want to focus on the main DPSs and train them up, and then, you know, get to the sub-DPSs that can actually also kind of sort of main DPS for you. As you can see, it is pretty intense because of the amount of enemies, so Tenebrin is strong here because if you do run out of evasion stamina, he can just tank his way through some attacks and, you know, not die too easily from them. If you happen to notice, I switched Astral in during that Matrix and did not use it for 3 ping on Tenebrin because when he's doing his core passive, which is basically this super wild attack, it is not an iframe, so you can actually get destroyed while you're doing that super long attack. You can actually cancel out of it, but you kind of waste the core passive. It is activated the same way you do Eclipses, which is after 3 ping, use your red orb, and it turns into a different kind of attack. One thing to note, it does actually close gaps. From a mid-range, you kind of dash in and attack, so you don't have to waste your evasion stamina to get close to the enemy. You just use it from a mid-range and you can actually get in and do optimal damage. And with this, we clean up Project Babel, whichever you call it. And I know some people think it's weird playing a gacha game without actually doing gacha, but the fact that I was able to get all the tangible rewards out of this shows that I don't have to open the floodgates, because I know myself, sometimes if I open the floodgates, I kind of let it flood. I am looking forward to Bianca Verity, or Veritas, which is the S-rank Bianca, mainly because we should be able to farm Hyson, which is going to be good for Dawn and Lux. Of course, I do like that construct a lot, I love it, but I'm probably not going to pull, so I'm just going to make use of it to build up my Lightning DPSs and supports, and be happy with what I can get out of that. Also be happy with what I got out of this one. Looking forward to the upgrades and future videos, and thank you guys for watching. This has been MG. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.